Hello everyone, this is Hodora and today we are in Arc Knight Endfield, right? We're gonna do the usual thing we do like monthly or at least every patch. This is a report of my progress in AIC, right? We're gonna I just want to share you what I do with the AIC this update, right? The first part of 1.2. To be honest, this patch, at least for AIC, right, in regard of AIC, is really boring. There is nothing much addition to what we currently have running right now. Every the other part, right, the story, the the character, the combat, the boss fight, everything is amazing. AIC is a little bit disappointed and borderline boring, in my opinion. So, what do we get for AIC? Well, we got a new outpost that we can use, right? Together with that, we got two main line of production, right? The first one is something called heavy selenite, this thing. And to build this, right, you need 3 selenite production line in order to make heavy selenite at 100% efficiency. And other than selenite, we also got a new type of material called ethanite, which needs to combine copium powder with an acid, the new acid that we found in this new map, right? That's why we have new outposts here, so you have access to the acid really easily. Is make copium solution and polify into hetonite solution. But yeah, we're gonna talk about all of these later. Other than the recipe, of course, we got an upgrade, this one, which give you 4 more forges of the sky. But don't be happy, 4 more forges of the sky. You need 4 of them to make one heavy selenite production. So basically you use all of them, right? But when the next part of this patch, right, the part 2 of 1.2 release, I believe in like May 14, we're gonna come with a new zone called the test area. I gonna assume we're gonna get more copium, mine, and maybe other resource, maybe originium. But one thing that already confirmed is that we're gonna get 4 more forges of the sky. So those 4, we can also make another heavy selenite line or make 4 more selenite. Who knows? But as you see here, I have 3 selenite production in this outpost. I have a full hetonite part, hetonite component production in here. And of course you see this, right? This is like just a splitter technology. Basically you divide the input so that you limit the access of the creating unit instead of eat up everything you have in your depot, right? For example, if I have 2000, it's gonna eat 2000 and then it's gonna eat whatever generate later. But with this, you can only feed this. For example, I have 4 for divination, right? 4 splitter. At the usually the feeding is 30 units per minute. One splitter divide that by 2, so reduce that by half. If you do 2 line, 2 extra line, this one and this one, you're gonna divide that by 3. But that gonna make a lot of planning harder, so that's why I already divide by 2. So after this, it's only gonna be 15. Another divide is gonna be 7.5. And another divide is gonna be 3.25. And the last one gonna be like what? 1.625, something like that. So it's gonna feed into this only like 1 to 2 unit per minute instead of like the full 30 per minute. That's why we have something that look like this, right? In terms of production, if I go to the 2 hour, you're gonna see component only make like 1 per minute, so it's gonna spike up and down. But everything else gonna keep production, right? Heavy selenite, ketonite part. But you might notice that I have one that have the conveyor belt between the splitter and converter to convert everything and send it back to my depot. Compared to this one doesn't have the belt because there is, I don't know why, this doesn't work together 100% of the time when you put splitter next to the converter. Sometimes it's not gonna split into the converter, it's just gonna keep moving along until the end. So converter is useless. Luckily this time this combination work, so I don't need to do this explanation. But for this one, you can guess that when I move converter this 3 to here, the splitter doesn't feed into the converter, so it's gonna keep putting every single thing into the gearing unit. That's why I need to separate them and have this belt between to ensure that the splitter work properly. But you can see here I don't have a heavy selenite production in this zone because I cannot fit everything in here. So I just put that in my main base, right? If we go to the main base, and by the way, that you see the previous report of the production that I showed earlier, you might notice that we doesn't have
For AIC
full
area,
6 unit per minute production. That means it's not 100% efficiency. And we cannot do anything about that because in order to get 6 unit per minute, you need to have 240 unit per minute of copium ore mining. Right now we only have like third of that. That's why we only produce around 2.5 per minute instead of 6. Hopefully when the new area show up, we're gonna get like to get 60, I believe we need to get like 4 more copium mine, so that we're gonna get 240. That means we can do full of this. But if we just full of this, that means the other selenite production will not be that useful because we cannot do the component at 100% efficiency. But maybe this is the cornerstone or stepping stone to the next tier of battery and siling and other production that we can do. But anyway, let's look at my heavy selenite production, right? We have, of course, Fort of the Sky. We need 2 selenite and 1 zircon effluence. So 2 selenite, just feed it directly here because I have all 3 production in the outpost. But the effluence coming from expanded crucible. This is a different type of crucible. Basically, this crucible allow you to run 2 or 3 recipe production in one unit. So instead of this, let's show you guys how to show this. Let's see here. And you can see here, if we want to make liquid selenite, you need selenite and water in the reactor crucible, right? And to make this liquid selenite into the zircon effluent, we need another crucible to mix the selenite with the silverage to get this. That means usually you're not gonna need to react the crucible. But with expanded crucible, you gonna feed everything in here, right? We have selenite come in here, we have water come in here, we have silver come in here. So everything gonna mix together and the end gonna be zircon effluent and inner zircon effluent. Inner zircon we're gonna be feed it to the water treatment to remove them, and the effluent itself gonna combine with selenite into the heavy selenite. right? And if you want to use this to make, for example, you want to actually get the zircon itself, you just need to feed in another ferrium powder, one of them. But there is a problem with that, which is we need 2 zircon effluent. That means you need to input double of the water, right? Double of the water, double of the sewage, and double of the selenite in order to make double zircon effluent to feed into 1 zircon production. But yeah, that is a fun thing to play around. It's gonna help save a lot of space if you want to redo your zircon production with, and you can see here, need 5 crucible, right? So we can chunk all of this into 1 if you want. I'm not gonna do that yet because there is no need for that right now. We don't need to save space or do any of that currently. In the near future, maybe next month, I need to rebuild everything. If that is true, it's gonna be so fun because this path is so boring. We fit everything into 1 outpost and done. Nothing much. And of course, we're gonna talk about the last production thing we need to do. Everyone need to do, because you need to make some Eternite component to make a new gear, right? If you are a fan of Chuan Fang Yi, even if you're a fan of Tang Tang, right? For Chuan Fang Yi gonna use Silapho gear, which is these 3 of them use Eternite component. And Tang Tang got a new gear called Kibo Gear Pack. So you want to use a hand, not this hand, right? Or skill damage, and this kit for battle skill damage. This set is really good for Tang Tang because it reduces combat skill cooldown by 15%. And whenever you do a combo skill, increase every skill damage by 20% stack 2 times. Really good, really good. That is one thing you need. And another thing that you need is the part. The part right now only used for you to craft a new cannon, right? We have sledgehammer, mortar, and an acid soldier, which needs all of this, needs Hetonite part. Other than that, there is nothing gonna use Hetonite part just yet, but we need to wait and see if there is gonna be something that uses that next patch or not, right? Anyway, that's all for me today. I'm just here to share what I do with my AIC this patch, right? Show off my cute little Frankenstein of line that I mix up together. It might not be the most optimized, but it's work. It's work. What happened here? Why? Nothing. Okay, maybe the line is just 1 slot, that's why it doesn't fill with red, sadly. But that's fine. Oh, another thing, you can put all of these into 1 purifier. But when I do that before, right, it's clocking. I don't know why. Because it says it's gonna use 4 every 2 seconds, so input 2 of these into 1 should work perfectly. But for some reason it's clocked. And by clock, I mean this thing doesn't clear out 100%. It keeps building up slowly until it's max at 50, and that slow down other part of the production. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, right? But I want everything to run smoothly. That's why I separated into 2 purifier and linked everything together, right? Other than that, there is nothing else to show off. Right, and again, because this is a Frankenstein that I put together by hand, I don't recommend you copying me. There might be some people who share this online, but it's really simple and you really should learn how to do this by yourself, because I feel like a lot of players complain about complexity of AIC. That's why the dev make it a lot more simpler. It's really hand-holding, right? They give us 4 forges of the sky, and you're gonna use all 4 for just making heavy Satanite. They give you just enough QPM to do all of this. And I gonna assume the reason they limited our creativity and our tool in AIC is because there might be players who complain about it being too hard or too complex. That's why everyone, you should learn how to do all this. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. I do all this less than a day after the update, so I believe you guys can do this too. I believe in you, and I hope everyone gonna stop complaining and about how hard this is and complain about how boring it is right now, so that the dev listen and make it more interesting, right? Because right now I feel like the dev kinda looking down on the player ability to manage their factory. I don't know, maybe that's not true, but yeah, that is what I feel from how simple this patch AIC feel like. Anyway, that's all for me today. I hope you have fun playing video game. Good luck with your gacha if you want to pull for Bang Yi or the next banner, which is a rerun of Leviathan and Gilberta. And that is all for me today. Have a good day, good night wherever you are, and see you again in the next AIC report, which gonna happen, who knows, after the next update on May 14th. Alright, bye bye.